The Channel migrant crisis has exploded into a full-blown scandal that threatens to dismantle Keir Starmer's credibility. Just 24 hours after the Labour leader announced a major breakthrough in cracking down on smuggling networks, the crisis on Britain's doorstep took a catastrophic turn. In a shocking twist, smugglers launched multiple small boats off French beaches, leading to scenes of desperation, violence, and chaos that are rapidly spiralling out of control. Despite French police intercepting some vessels and arresting a suspected smuggler, at least 2 boats managed to evade capture. One of these carried a staggering 98 migrants, the largest number ever recorded on a single vessel during this crisis. This deadly voyage is the latest chapter in a growing disaster that exposes the grim reality behind Starmer's lofty promises. What really happened on those beaches? How did smugglers adapt so quickly, and what does this mean for Britain's borders? Stay tuned, because this explosive report uncovers it all. Violent beach clashes, the grim economics of overcrowding, and why the UK's response is crumbling under pressure. On Thursday evening, Keir Starmer made a dramatic televised address to the nation. With a tone of triumph, he announced the arrest of a 44-year-old Turkish national in Amsterdam. This individual, Starmer claimed, was a key supplier of boats, engines and logistical support to smuggling gangs operating out of France and Belgium. The joint operation, conducted by the UK's National Crime Agency, Belgian police and Dutch authorities, was heralded as a major victory in the fight to smash the gangs, profiting from human misery. But as Starmer basked in the glow of this apparent success, reality was already painting a far bleaker picture. Early Friday morning, smugglers struck back with alarming speed, launching multiple boats despite intensified police patrols on French beaches. If Starmer hoped the arrest would send shockwaves through the smuggling networks, it appears those networks didn't even flinch. The beaches south of Boulogne, often a hotspot for smuggling operations, descended into chaos before dawn. Witnesses described scenes of absolute mayhem as migrants, desperate to make the crossing, stormed boats in the process of launching. Smugglers, typically organised and in control, appeared overwhelmed as crowds of migrants fought each other for a chance to board the overloaded vessels. This new phenomenon, dubbed "storm the boat" tactics, has emerged in recent months as a response to rising smuggling fees. Many migrants, particularly those from African nations, are unable to pay the smugglers' steep prices. Instead, they resort to brute force, rushing boats as they launch and clambering on board without authorization. The result? Utter pandemonium. Boats designed to carry 50 people were crammed with nearly double that number. On one vessel intercepted in UK waters, 98 migrants were found squeezed together, a record-breaking number that maritime experts described as beyond dangerous. While some boats were intercepted by French police, their efforts were far from comprehensive. French patrols managed to stop several vessels and arrested one suspected smuggler, but it was too little, too late. Smugglers took advantage of gaps in enforcement, successfully launching at least 2 boats that made their way to UK waters. A French maritime security official, speaking anonymously, revealed the scale of the problem. "We're facing unprecedented challenges. The smugglers are getting smarter, and the migrants are getting more desperate. Even with increased patrols, it's impossible to catch them all." This latest wave of crossings has laid bare the deadly dynamics of the smuggling trade. Over the past 6 months, overcrowding on boats has reached crisis levels. Migrants, many of whom cannot afford the smugglers' fees, are storming vessels in droves, turning already dangerous journeys into near-certain death traps. One maritime security expert explained, "The smugglers aren't increasing the number of passengers because they care about efficiency. They're doing it because they have no choice. When migrants rush a boat, it's chaos. Smugglers don't want to risk delays, so they let it happen. The result is overcrowding on a scale we've never seen before." The consequences have been devastating. This year alone, deaths in the Channel have spiked dramatically. Many fatalities are the result of crushing injuries sustained on overcrowded boats, while others occur when vessels capsize under the weight of too many passengers. For Keir Starmer, the timing of this disaster couldn't be worse. His Thursday announcement was intended to showcase Labour's commitment to addressing the migrant crisis. Instead, it has exposed the glaring gaps in the UK's approach. The arrest in Amsterdam was hailed as a major blow to smuggling networks, but critics argue it was more symbolic than substantive. Smuggling operations are highly decentralised, with multiple suppliers ready to step in when one is taken down. Nigel Farage, a long-time critic of Labour's immigration policies, wasted no time in slamming the government's response. Starmer's so-called crackdown is nothing but a PR stunt, he said. This latest surge proves that Labour is all talk and no action. The numbers don't lie. Labour is failing to protect our borders. Even within Labour, murmurs of dissent are beginning to surface. One senior party member, speaking off the record, admitted, "The arrest is a step forward, but it's not a solution. This crisis is far more complex, and the public knows it. We can't afford to look like we're out of our depth." The impact of this crisis extends far beyond the beaches of France. In the UK, border force is stretched to its limits, struggling to manage the relentless influx of migrants. Processing facilities, including the one at Dover Harbour, are overwhelmed. Staff shortages and logistical challenges mean many migrants face lengthy delays in having their cases processed, further fueling public frustration. Adding to the strain are the record-breaking numbers. So far this year, 33,000 migrants have crossed the Channel, a 20% increase compared to the same period in 2023. With no sign of the crossings slowing down, experts warn that the system is nearing a breaking point. Amid the political wrangling and logistical chaos, the human cost of this crisis is impossible to ignore. For the migrants making these perilous journeys, the risks are enormous. Families are torn apart, lives are lost, and those who survive often face years of uncertainty. One survivor of a recent crossing described the harrowing journey. "The boat was so overcrowded, I couldn't breathe. I thought we would all drown, but staying in France wasn't an option. I had no choice." Even those who reach the UK are far from safe. Many are housed in overcrowded accommodations with limited access to resources or support. The trauma of the journey, coupled with the uncertainty of their future, leaves many migrants in a state of limbo. As the crisis deepens, the political ramifications are becoming increasingly severe. Public anger is mounting, with many Britons demanding tougher measures to deter crossings. Starmer, already under pressure to prove Labour's competence, now faces a critical test of his leadership. Critics on the right are calling for stricter border controls and harsher penalties for smugglers, while voices on the left are urging greater investment in humanitarian solutions. Meanwhile, the government's current strategy, focused on arrests and interceptions, appears to be falling short. A senior political analyst summarised the situation bluntly. "This is a defining moment for Starmer. If he can't deliver results, he risks losing public trust. And without public trust, Labour's position on immigration will crumble." The Channel migrant crisis has become a scandal of epic proportions. Despite Starmer's promises and the high-profile arrest in Amsterdam, the smugglers are thriving, the crossings are increasing, and the deaths are mounting. This isn't just a political failure, it's a humanitarian disaster. With no clear end in sight, the question remains, will Britain's leaders rise to the challenge, or will this crisis continue to spiral out of control? For now, one thing is certain, this story is far from over.